guys. As many of you know, my husband and I are expecting our first baby this coming April, and we are so excited about this because we've always wanted to have children. But we were told by the medical fraternity that if you're over 40, in fact, if you're over 30, your chances of having a baby naturally are very, very reduced. And in fact, we're both over 40. I'm 41 right now. So this video is about my journey to getting pregnant as a 41-year-old and doing so safely and with my mental and physical health intact. I will eventually talk about my pregnancy and share that experience with you as well. But in this video, I want to address how fertility issues are being handled by most doctors in India. So when Animesh and I decided to try to get pregnant, we tried for a while. And when it didn't happen, we decided to speak to a doctor, to consult with a specialist. So the protocol or the rule is that if you've been trying for 6 months or a year, 6 months if you're 30 and above, and it hasn't happened, it's time to dig a little deeper and investigate if there's anything wrong. And we ran a bunch of tests, and in the tests we discovered that my AMH is very low, and also that I had some uterine fibroids. Now, in the beginning, these fibroids were just outside my uterus. But at the time I actually fell pregnant, which was roughly 1.5 to 2 years, after we'd been trying, these fibroids had grown in size and in number. And in fact, at this moment, there are 3 fibroids of different sizes inside my uterus. So when the doctors saw, the fibroids, the low AMH, they, put that together with my age. I was 41 at the time. The doctors told me that, my chances of conceiving naturally were incredibly low. And that's when every single doctor started to push aggressively for IVF. But being a yoga teacher, I have a healthy distrust of doctors. I feel that there is a tendency to overprescribe medicines and procedures and scans. And also something didn't sit right with me. And that's when I decided to do my own research and double check what the doctors were telling me. So I started looking things up online and speaking to as many people as I could. I looked up things like low AMH, pregnancy, uterine fibroids. I tried to look up as many personal experiences as I could. And this is also when my conversations with doctors actually became more informed. So for instance, I started to ask doctors why were they suggesting IVF as the first solution? Why weren't we trying other things? So there's a doctor in Motherhood in Indranagar who I was in a consultation with, and I asked him, why haven't I been given Clomid? And Clomid is a drug. It's actually called clomiphene. And it's being used in a lot of Western countries before, the process of IVF. So I asked this doctor, why haven't I been given the option of Clomid, for instance? Why are doctors in India just so intent on prescribing IVF, which is so aggressive, so invasive, and not to mention like a lot more expensive? And I remember he looked at me and he was taken aback, and he said, well, how do you know about Clomid? And I told him, well, like a lot of us nowadays with the internet, we are researching all of this. So during that interaction, I realized that it was quite unusual for a patient to actually have an informed conversation with a doctor. Doctors are not even expecting it. And in this particular case, I felt that he was a little uncomfortable also. But anyways, something good did come out of that meeting. I understood in that meeting that low AMH is an indication of the quantity and the quality of your eggs. But low AMH does not mean that you cannot get pregnant. And I also realized that many doctors are phrasing it like that. Doctors are getting away with making it seem like low AMH means that you're infertile and that you're never going to get pregnant, and therefore you should go for IVF. And to be honest, I was really disappointed by most of the doctors that I met on this journey, except for one. And today she's my gynecologist. I feel that doctors aren't listening to women. They aren't compassionate or kind towards women. And doctors are just aggressively pushing IVF. So, but now that I'm no longer in that phase, and I've had some time to kind of step back and think about why this might be, I realized that there are a few reasons for why doctors do this, and I wanted to share those with you. So, the first reason I feel that doctors are like this is because the cold, hard reality is that there is a lot of money to be made through IVF. And, you as a patient, you're just another person who's walked into the clinic, and you can actually help these doctors fulfill, their bottom line, their targets, so to speak, their monthly targets, their yearly targets. And I found that, such doctors are great at marketing. Like I remember this doctor at Fortis La Femme, and I went to her, and before, she had seen any of the test results, and she said, well, this is just the age factor. IVF is the only solution for you. And she and so many other doctors like her in great hospitals, they just say it with so much conviction that you as the patient sometimes end up thinking that the doctor is obviously correct, and this conviction comes from somewhere, from the amount of experience they have, from all the patients that they've seen. So that's the first reason that I think doctors are like this, because it is no longer really only about treating the patient, but it's also about the targets that they have to meet and the bottom lines that they have. So the second reason I think doctors are doing this is because they simply don't know any better. This is the kind of training that they've had. So unfortunately, I have to say that a lot of doctors are fueling a kind of fear psychosis, where they play upon a woman's desperation. It's just a lack of training. This is how they've been trained. Like I remember there's one doctor in Milan, in this hospital called Milan, or Milan, maybe Milan. And she described the whole process. She took a lot of time, and she described the whole process of IVF to me. And she was literally putting herself in the place of God. The whole process of how she would extract the best quality eggs, she would make sure that they would grow into healthy embryos, and then she would make sure that plantation would happen, and that she would just ensure that I would have a baby in my hands by the end of the whole process. And in her opinion, if I chose to go the natural route, then there were so many things that could go wrong, from like my fallopian tubes malfunctioning to my endometrium not working or not developing, or so many things, just about how she had the power to really give me a baby. And if I chose to go through it naturally, if she was not involved in the process, she even said that the baby can come out deformed. It was just in such poor taste, and that's when I decided to close that doctor's chapter. And I remember in that meeting, I actually asked her, how are women handling this mentally? What about the mental toll that the process of IVF takes on a woman? And I remember, it was almost as though she was prepared for this question. And she said, once you have the baby in your hands, you're going to forget everything. And I was so taken aback. I'm like, really? This is so different from everything that I've heard from women who've actually gone through IVF also. Will a woman really forget the physical and the emotional strain, the pain, the trauma, the disappointment? Would a woman really forget, and I was like, are you kidding me? And that's when I realized that, if I had not had like such dependable, intelligent, close friends, or such a supportive family, or in fact, belief in my yoga practice, I might not have had the courage or the strength or the self-belief and confidence to, sort of stand up to these doctors, because these doctors, after all, sit in these fancy hospitals, have these fancy degrees. If you look them up online, they have, hundreds of positive reviews. So I've always during my journey been grateful for the kind of people who've been around me, for the kind of people who've shared their stories with me. And I hope that by sharing the story, a lot of women who are in, doing the rounds of hospitals and doctors right now, that they can actually, find the strength to sort of stand up for themselves, do their own research, and actually question the doctors and not take their word to be law. So the third reason I think doctors in India behave like this is because in India, we do have a tendency to treat doctors like God. We are a society which is obsessed with children. Remember, I've been to like the best doctors that I could find in Bangalore. And, most of them have been very polite, some clinically so, like they've been very polite with no, very impersonal, but very polite. But they've all had this, I know best attitude, sort of supercilious. And this I know best manner could be misconstrued by a lot of people for confidence. But I remember, after all of these meetings, I would feel that I haven't had a fulfilling or even informative conversation with these doctors. And I would also feel like I wasn't heard, So I did feel that a lot of the medical fraternity is not spending time actually really listening to me. But I would also like to point out and give a shout out to the countless women, who I've met. So many women who are actually going through something similar. Remember, I did a lot of research. I reached out to so many people. And I have come across so many women who are going through something similar. And they're so courageous and they're so brave. And all I can say is that, I marvel at how they keep going. And I think I derived a lot of strength, from their experience, from what they told me. And during this time when I was doing, the rounds of like extremely qualified, expensive doctors, I would find that the women who I was talking to, who had been through a similar journey, their voices were the most authentic ones. Their voices, even if they didn't know me, I would feel a sense that they did care about giving me the right advice, giving me the real picture of what they'd been through. So that really kept me going. And that's why through this video, I hope that a lot of women do find the courage to reach out to other women to talk about this and to listen to their gut instinct, because I think that's what I did. I really did listen to my gut instinct. So if a doctor did not feel right, if a doctor did not treat me well, instead of feeling bad about it, I would get angry and then I would leave a bad review and I would tell other women who would want to consult with those doctors, not to go to them. And I think that's the only way that we can really find good and quality medical advice. And in the past few weeks, particularly when I started talking about my experience on Instagram, a lot of women have reached out to me. So I know that there are a lot of women out there who are going through something similar, trying to look for good doctors, trying to look for help. Once, one doctor says that you're not going to conceive, that you need IVF, you just fall into this loop. I feel that, when that happens, when you fall into this trap, into this loop, then it's very easy to lose your bearings. And particularly because a lot of us, as women, we're on some sort of schedule. Society puts us on a schedule. And a lot of women have this familial pressure to conceive and to have children. And all this pressure and all this stress is actually, it works against being able to conceive naturally. So this further reduces your chances. So if you are going through something like this, I would encourage you to even maybe speak to a therapist, because you can't really change what other people tell you. You can really strengthen yourself and handle the stress, so that it doesn't have a negative impact on you. So what I've learned from this experience is that if you are in the same boat, it's very important to do your own research. It's very important to explore all the options that are out there, that are available to you. And also, you know, to understand, to really believe that it's just a matter of time. So you have to really cultivate that patience and that faith. And what really helped me was that, I was fundamentally healthy because I'd been a yoga practitioner for a long time. So I had faith in my health. I had belief in my health. I had faith in my body. And my yoga practice really helped me a lot, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally as well. And I would also recommend that women don't suffer in silence. I know it's not easy to talk about these issues, but you should talk about these issues with your close friends or anyone you trust, because this journey can get lonely. There's so much uncertainty in it, so it can leave you feeling very isolated, and sometimes you'll feel like you're the only one who's going through this, and everybody else has children and they're getting pregnant so easily, and you tend to lose your perspective. But believe me, I have met so many women who are in the same boat, and but they're just not talking about it. If you only knew the number of people who are going through the same thing, you would actually think that this is absolutely normal, that this is just how things are, so I would really encourage you to talk about it with anybody that you trust, and keep the faith, and keep some patience. And finally, I am now convinced more than ever that your health should be your number one priority, and that it's absolutely non-negotiable. I believe that if I was not healthy, that perhaps I would not have been able to get pregnant naturally, and perhaps I wouldn't even have been able to hold a baby. And remember, I got pregnant despite a low AMH and with a lot of fibroids in my uterus, inside my uterus. I've had a good pregnancy so far. And I really do think that's because of my yoga practice. It's because of my interest in holistic health. It's because of the healthy lifestyle that I lead. Yoga played a huge and important role in my conception, in my journey to conceiving. And I cannot recommend that enough. So that's about it. I will be talking a lot more about my journey, a lot more of what I went through. I'll be blogging about it on my blog. My blog is www.yogawithpragya.com. I didn't want to make this video too long, but in case you have any questions, or if there's anything specific that you want to know about, please feel free to leave a comment on this video or to email me. Also, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And please share this video with anyone who might be going through something similar, because it might help. I know videos like this helped me immensely when I was trying to conceive. And it would be amazing if someone else derives the same sort of strength and courage that from this video that I did when I was watching other videos, similar videos, or when I was listening to the podcasts. So thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.